But the issue of the posting from journalists, uh, the electoral workers are the one after they all sign the tally sheets. They post it on the wall. Then it becomes what a public property. So it is now a public information that anybody can access. And the communication highway is very active. And you don't expect somebody to go on a public board and see the result posted and you say they should keep it secret. It's no more secret.
Okay.
So if we want to, like what others can do, they listen to the Electoral Commission. It's not the journalists that will come up and start giving provisional results. As the Election Commission gave provisional results, then that goes across. And that is the authenticated information that has been coming over.
But do you think, from a rep, do you think that we need to continue announcing results from the posted on the pasted on the wall? Do we need to do that? Because, like Nangwa said, it generates speculations, and John Brown feels that he or she is in the lead when the elections commission would announce later that John Brown is not in the lead, and at the end of the day, we continue to experience election violence.
Everything is not always rosy. That's why we have room to invite and apply the flavor of excellence. We are not still excellent in that mind. And I also believe that it is a wrong thing. That's what I'm saying. There's room to make the process excellent by adding that flavor. We can erect some checkpoints from there. That electoral supervisor that are supervising all the electoral polling centers, precincts, and things. What you need to do is that if we don't want these speculations that will bring excitement and frustration, because these are the two things that the early speculation can bring.
Yeah, surely.
Excitement and frustration. And the way in which they emphasize on that, more especially when the journalists are giving report from the field, I think what needs to be done is that at the Electoral Commission, you need to refine that hey, all of the tally sheet, if you sign the Election Commission office, you only report instead of posting. You only report. But those representatives of the various candidates, they have their copy. They should have their copy. When they have their copy, they can also communicate. Like every candidate will have a war room, as you said with Abu Kamara. So it is your responsibility to communicate that to your war room, just for check and balance. That whatsoever that the Election Commission will be pronouncing is what is being placed on the copy of the tally sheet that you have. I think with that, you will erect some checkpoint with respect to this anxiety and speculations and all of these things. You will be put a stop to it.
Okay.
So it's you will never be successful until you stop trying. And the thing is, experience is the best teacher. As we go along, where we stump our toes, we need to look at that. Then we take the necessary, corrective measures, to make sure that we make it much more excellent.
Okay, so you're listening to the Bumper Show right here on the LBC 99.9 and other frequencies across Liberia. Sabo George is my name, and two guests are already seated. We've started with them already. We've been talking about just briefly about yesterday's poll, trying to get their analysis of what they heard and saw yesterday. But the main reason for which I did invite you all basically is about the issue of our oration that was delivered by Lima Boy. First, let me inquire from you, Mr. J. Nambuslo. We saw a shared, unprecedented show of confidence as one call it, and solidarity by our regional leaders when they attended. Does that in any way is that in any way something that we need to encourage and push for more and more to have regional solidarity and regional confidence?
Well, before I get to that, and since the first thing started with me, Honorable Tingma has agreed to start with this GUI discussion. But before we get there, I thought we should do maybe 2 or 3 more minutes on the election thing.
Okay, if you want to go.
I've read so much on the social media about who's winning and why they are winning. Those who say the opposition is winning are blaming government, the president as a person. If the citizens should lose, it's because of him. Why he didn't do, why he did wrongly, all of that. For me, my take on that is all around the world. I'm not defending the president or his party or something like that. I'm a citizen, by the way. All around the world.
Basically, Representative Sura, let me hold you there. Basically, I didn't want us to go because the outcomes are still coming in.
No, we're not discussing who won, who didn't.
Yeah, no, we are discussing.
Your social media thing now is where I'm
because I don't want us to give much credence to the social media. I know there'll be lots of speculations. People will blame as to whether it's a protest vote or not, or is it because people are quite displeased about the government. I don't want us to go that route. That's the reason why I just thought that we leave it like that until after the final results. So let's look at the issue of regional solidarity and the presence of our regional leaders. Is that something that we need to push for more?
There are 2 things here: the speech and the presence.
Yeah, we're looking at we'll look at the speech later on, but we're looking at the presence of our regional brothers. Yeah.
All right. I was proud to see at least that number of leaders in our country at one point. It shows, like you said, solidarity with our country, with our government. Our president has always visited them too when they had occasions. And so, you do me, I do you, President Salif says. So I was not surprised. I was just happy that even the African giant, the Nigerian president himself was here. I'm happy that all of that took place. It's also, you say we should leave history out of it. This was not the first time that, African leaders, especially sub-regional leaders, have come to our country.
Okay.
From Tubman time, Togo, at least when some of us started seeing government business, they've always come. In Honorable Timber's capital, it's where OAU was born. It was the president of Ghana, the president of Guinea that came to visit their friend and brother, and they all went to Sanipoli and formed what was then the OAU, which is AU today. Mano River Union, the same thing, President Tobo and his colleagues, Secretary Siata Sivi, formed them right here. So we have always played a vital role. In fact, we are a founding member of the United Nations, which was then the League of Nations. So we are not a small potato when it comes to international affairs.
And apart from the solidarity,
people, expressing solidarity with us, I appreciate it.
And apart from the solidarity, I'm sure it did also show a great deal of confidence in this administration. Do you agree with that?
Not necessarily so.
Okay.
You can invite a head of state who may not have confidence in you as a person or your country, but diplomacy dictates that, they accept.
But how would you not have, you're trying to introduce something else. How would you not have confidence in somebody and sort to show them solidarity?
I just told you diplomacy dictates that. The man invites you. Why would you say no? What reason will you have?
So you can show solidarity and not having confidence. Is that what you're saying?
You can do that, you know, without having confidence.
Okay.
You're not going to express it that I don't have confidence, so I'm not going there.
But in war, you can say you don't have confidence.
You can keep it to yourself.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Let confuse the two.
Let me hear from former Representative Timber. You listened to your brother. He said, "Well, it's not strange though. We've had African leaders of that huge number coming on our soil, but and then I asked him whether it shows a level of confidence as well in this administration."
Well, I know in the diplomacy there are a lot of things that can happen, and there are certain things that maybe you need to publicly express, but because of the diplomacy attached to it, you may not express it. Or if you want to express it, maybe you're going to polish it. And I also want to believe that the visitation of these heresies and to Liberia is a plus.
It's a plus.
It's a plus. Because there has been speculation around here that since President Weah was elected, no president has ever visited here. So to congregate number of presidents here also lay to rest this speculation, because here sometimes we dwell on trivialities a lot. Then the core issue.
But doesn't that show confidence as well?
No. The way I want to
a bit different with numbers.
Different, because even though it's diplomacy, and you may not come out rightly if I don't have interest. So say, or you don't have confidence to say, oh, I don't have confidence. You want to call those diplomatic missions that have been around here and executing a lot of things. Even during the electoral process, there are some candidates, there are some diplomatic missions around here may not have interest in them. But sometimes they use some diplomatic language not to directly get to that person and say, we don't have the confidence. But like for instance, in a country where you have some diplomatic mission, if they don't have confidence in that particular leadership, they are setting maybe bilateral arrangement and some maybe the goodwill that's supposed to come to the country, and sometimes they find some excuses and they attach some conditions that they know you may not meet.
Okay.
So in that case, if they don't have if they don't fall in solidarity with you, they will not just practically show it, but there will be some diplomatic excuses that will maybe myself may not come as the head of state. Maybe I send my foreign minister. I'll send other representative. To come, or maybe they are other senior government official, just to plaster that diplomatic relationship.
Okay.
So that you cannot feel that directly I'm against you. I don't necessarily have to show to you practically that diplomatically I don't.
So in essence, in our case, we saw a show of solidarity, regional solidarity, and a show of regional support as well.
Yes, we saw it in most of these heads of states that came. Some were decorated with the national order of distinction. Okay, and what are these things? Because those kind of decoration, there are some deeper, because there is no way that you will be decorated as another country president without any prior knowledge. And with those kind of a thing, there are also associated benefits. Because if those exchanges come in, the benefit that follows cements the relationship.
Okay. Further cemented the relationship. Okay, now let's hear from Representative Namuslo of Sano County. You listened to the speech delivered, the oration delivered by Lehman Boy. Basically, she did a couple of analysis looking at the perennial challenges we've been having affecting our national existence. She talked about the values, the issue of truth, the issue of not being realistic and all of that. Looking at the theme, together we are strong. And she said that has been evading us for a couple of years. But what is it, in your own reading that you, as a president, as a representative, as a stakeholder, you were able to capture from the speech delivered by Malema? The first line.
I thought she did well. She, in my opinion, she was fair to everybody. The three groups she
made mention of.
Yeah. She dealt with each group sufficiently, in my layman opinion. And there was no finger pointing at a particular person or institution. It was just, I just wish she had indicated which of the three groups she falls in, because she said all Liberians are in those three groups, and she's a Liberian, so she got to be in one, unless there's another group that she forgot to mention that she's in, you know. But I thought the three groups she mentioned, she discussed them, fairly, and I don't have any problem with it with all.
Okay, now let me ask you before I go further, Rep. What did you really pick up from the speech? What was her own description? Whether she was balanced or whether she divided, whether she was unknown.
Firstly, from the fundamental aspect of it, I see that as identifying the problems and pushing mitigation to follow in gender unity in the country. And because the only way you can solve the problem when you identify it.
Sure.
If you cannot identify the problems, you cannot solve it. Because I know she spoke from the triangular focus. The triangular focus, as you talk about, which was the no position, the opposition, and the ruling position. And she symbolized all of that with respect to our three primary colors of the nation. That is red, white, and blue. And but I didn't get actually the indication. Why was the no position carried white? I mean, why was it decorated with white? Why the opposition was decorated with red? And why the ruling position was decorated with blue? I didn't get that interpretation. Were you also telling me that because university would know why to be standing for peace? Are you telling me that the no position are the most peaceful people? Are you also telling me that the red, I know that symbolized the opposition? Are you telling me these are the people that can issue red card to the progress and development of the country? I didn't get the interpretation of the blue that is being attributed to the ruling position. But actually, on the general level, she was very balanced.
Okay, now let me come to the as such as mortality issue, as such as people who yesterday they didn't have, today they do have. Do you think in trying to carve her speech, was she able to answer those questions that were raised to her by the community people she did ask?
Well, I speech making, I'm not a speech writer, but I think speech making is a very tedious job. Certainly she left some very serious questions unanswered, like the ones my senior brother just outlined. And for me too, she referred to the opposition as a bunch of recycled politicians.
Politicians.
Recycled politicians are not only opposition in this country.
Mhm.
I mean, they are in even the ruling position, and even in the no position category, recycled politicians are there. Suppose I was minister in some government, then I dropped,
Mhm.
and then I became a representative, then now I dropped. I'm no longer in any position, and then at the same time not in any opposition political party. Am I not recycled? I think I am.
Yeah.
But like I said, I gave her some credit for at least identifying areas that all of us need to work on. Like the no position people, she said something about people abusing their own rights, when election time comes, and they sell their votes for little or nothing, and then in the end of the day they blame the people they elected. After they may buy your vote, why you want to complain? That's what you pay for. You got what you pay for. I think she tried.
Now, she also indicated that the no position people are always on the fence. They say it's the people think, and they are in the majority. Do we have such individuals in our midst? Because we saw a national leadership where nearly everyone, went to the poll to elect a leader.
Well, it's true that the no position people include people who, time in, time out, government services do not impact their lives. You elect Honorable Tema president, after him you put me there, and another person come after me, but Joe Blow still remains the same Joe Blow, president after president. So what do you say about that person? She's right. They are on the fence. They don't feel government services. So election time comes, that's the only time we know them. We'll go to them, oh, please vote for me. That thing, my man, you know what you're doing.
But the question is, I'm asking, should we have a category of people in our midst? Or, why do we have category of people in our midst? Is it because of the situation of education or the literacy or literacy? Why should we have people of that nature? That somebody will come to you, I want you to be my representative. You care less to know as to whether they do have a plan, whether they do have a manifesto. All you want from them is t-shirts. And why do we have people of that nature?
Well,
They know opposition people.
It could be an army of reasons. Even in the developed world, they have the upper class, middle class, and all of that. So it will always be there. People are grouped by social status, education, all kinds of considerations. So Liberia is not a phrase that will not be the last. It will always be here. You don't know anything, so they don't give you government job, they don't give you company job. When Honorable Timber is building his house, he gives you the contract to be hauling sand or something. You can never claim to the category of educated people. So you just be in that class.
But those group of people, they are in the majority. So how do they affect how do they make impact on the national existence of the country when you have such a people in the country?
Well, the power is in their hands. That particular group you're talking about. They elect us. They elect presidents, representatives, senators. But what I believe she was aiming at is how well do they understand the value of the power they have in their hands. If Namusla is running and you harass him for money, for rights, for this and that, he gets to the Capitol building or wherever you sent him, some of them can turn around and say, well, I bought this position, so nobody should handle me. Compare that to, yesterday I posted something on the Facebook and some people came out and said, when you are running, people don't help you. You don't even want to know what your name is. But when you win, oh, you're supposed to do that, you're supposed to do that, you're supposed to do that, you're supposed to do that. You send me there? But like in America and other places, like minds get together and say, look, among us, let's push suburb. We collect money. Those who don't have money, whatever they're able to do,
They contribute.
they contribute it. At least you can go knock doors. That one you don't. You can ask not to be paid. You are part of the effort to make suburb something. When he gets there, you have the right to say, oh man, when I was walking in the rains, this is what I wanted you to do, for which I did that. You're not doing it. But if the man comes to give you back a rest or whatever he gives you, and you let him turn it back to you, is that contract not over?
Now, former Representative Matureke Timba, how do
A
we...
one-time leper is always a leper.
I know, okay, Representative. How do we change the mindset of those no position people that they feel that it is the people's sake, and all their concern is not to ask the politicians, not to evaluate the politicians, but only to ask for what they can get now. They are concerned about stomach infrastructure, like you said in your speech. How do we change the mindset? Because they are in the majority.
You know, this aspect of the triangular focus of Madam Gowie's speech is very, very important. That is the no position.
Mhm.
And I take a key interest in this because that has been a major societal problem. The majority that are there. And don't think that the no position they talk about is only those who do not know A different B. No. Even the people in the private sector, they are the no position people as well.
And they carry the same mentality.
So what usually is done is that the no position group is voting you to create the enabling environment for them to make life. And that's why usually some countries and the opposition, I mean the opposition and the ruling position have not been fair to this group because the orientation is not there. They have not provided the education for them how to vote and the reason why they're voting.
Is that the responsibility of the ruling position?
It's a responsibility of the ruling position to make their citizens to know their rights.
Through the National Elections Commission, or how do they do that? How do you expect it to do that?
You have usually the country has a national agenda. How is it really that you're disseminating how people can vote? How? Is it not through the National Election Commission?
Okay.
Through civic education.
Spearheaded by the National Elections Commission.
Yes. And I'm also aware that the civil society group is part of the no position. So, like for instance, the civil society group, it is also the responsibility of the civil society group to enlighten the minds of the citizen. That's what makes you a civil society. And that civic education should also be provided by the ruling position.
So to reduce the number, because like you said in your speech, the no position people, they are in majority.
Of course.
To reduce the number, what do we do now? Because we want to get this country more stronger than what it is.
No, it's difficult to reduce it. What you need to do for them is to build their capacity to be independent thinkers.
How?
That's what I'm talking about. Through civic education. Even the political parties, usually, the opposition political parties that go into the field, and the only preaching usually is against the ill.
But how do you expect the National Elections Commission or the ruling establishment through the National Elections Commission to build the capacities of those people? Because when you do that, you opening their eyes to begin to question you as to why they to do this.
Yeah, but that's all. That's all we need to do. Why you think that other countries, like in places like America, why you think that those no position people eyes are open? It was a responsibility of the government. They put some measure in place to build the capacity of their no position people. Because man, if you think that you will allow them to remain blind and not to have them orientated and have them exposed to current reality, you think you're doing harm to them, but you're also doing harm to to your very self, maybe as a ruling position, because if they don't understand what is even happening, what is their right, and how they need to exercise it, you may fall victim of their blind action as well.
So you need to build that capacity.
And the political party, the opposition party too. Maybe you go there and you are not, prepared to mold the minds of the people, to grow their minds, and you think that they should also remain blind. You may also fall victim of their blind action. That's why it should be the circular responsibility of all of us, both the ruling position, the opposition, the civil society, and you just name it. That's our responsibility. But because we want to exploit our people, that's why we continue to keep them blind.
Okay.
And that's going to be, it will continue to be a serious societal problem.
Okay, now the second group she made reference to, like the both of you said, to reduce the number of the no position people, we need to build up that capacity to help them to think positively. But the second group of people she made reference to, it's the opposition. They come often, like she said, with claiming that they know all. They do have the solutions to every problem, and forgetting to know that they even contributed to the problems that we're going through. Number?
Yes, like I said, she was very balanced in discussing the three groupings. I mean, the three groups. She dealt more with this group that you're talking about, the opposition, in my view, than with the ruling and the other position, the low position people. To say the opposition, they sit there and just criticize and all of that, I don't think that's the case. The opposition is supposed to critically look at the performance of government and call its attentions to all the governing, what do you call that group? The ruling
Opposition. Yeah.
Try to link that. The opposition is supposed to be the bridge between the no position and the ruling position. What is a little
But
tough?
the opposition doesn't do that. She said they are so desperate for power to the extent that they are even willing to align themselves with criminals and con artists just to achieve what they want.
That's a different ballgame altogether. Every political party is desperate for power. That's the purpose of organizing party. Nobody organizes party to go educate.
Desperate to the extent that you want to align with criminals and murderers and all of that.
Anything that gets you to power.
You do.
Yeah. You know how many people chase a certain senator in this country for his county? Everybody thinks, if you get him, then you can get his county, which has big numbers. All right? That's the general thinking in this country. When they want his support, then he's his godfather. When he gives them his support, then he becomes war criminal, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's the numbers that they are looking for. If a criminal gets the numbers, the numbers that go in the box, they don't have quality. But any number that gets there can make you.
But should the opposition continue on that path, especially when they are government in waiting? The opposition one who's saying that they should be helping the ruling establishment to move the country forward, than to be desperate for power to the extent that they even want to align with murderers and con artists and criminals.
But Chief, like I said again, you need the numbers to get to power. And it is very difficult for the ruling position in our country to listen to opposition. It has not worked for too long.
In our history, it has not worked at all.
No. Opposition come with suggestions to government, and the government say, yeah, this thing makes sense, because then you are preparing that group to succeed you. They know better than you. That's how we think. That's why we don't pick up.
But that's a
opposition.
wrong mentality, and that is affecting the country.
And if you don't stop it, opposition will do anything to bring you down. Not violently now, but I mean to replace you. Whether if they have to sleep with the devil to get the votes to replace you, they will do it.
Representative Timber, you heard Nambu slowly. He said, "Well, it's abnormistic in our national existence for opposition to be that way." But we thought that, or many people will think that opposition should be people who can cooperate, can provide suggestions to the national leadership, the ruling position, and move the country forward. And then to be so desperate that it can do anything harmful, against the interests of the people that they even want to rule.
Yeah, in most instances, a lot of people refer to baboon as the ugliest animal on planet Earth. And despite the quote-unquote ugliness of baboon, baboon got constituents. Baboon got family.
Including monkeys.
So you see there, as Honorable Slaw just rightly put it, election is number. And when you are looking for the number, I remember during this electoral process, someone said if it will cost him to go with Satan to get power, he will go with Satan to get power. But as soon as he takes the power, he needs to also discipline the Satan. There is no bad vote, there is no good vote. Vote is vote. Yes, it's Zogo, even during the electoral process. Politicians go to the Zogo and stop to speak to them. But after the election, no, Zogo are threatening, characters now. When you pass by there, you don't want your glass down again. But the Zogo vote was good, but after you took power, you said the Zogos are criminals. But you took the vote of the criminal and got the power. So for me, even it can be the ruling position, it can be the opposition. Everybody can align with the quote-unquote criminals, con artists. What you talk?
But do the oppositions do this? I'm
coming. The issue that I have expected maybe to actually address as it relates to the opposition is turning their back on the core issue that's supposed to be discussed, that you're supposed to engage the national government on. You leave it and reduce yourself to uncivilized profanities.
What do you mean?
You reduce yourself just to propagate hate messages. Even what we are experiencing in our country now. Look, this has plummeted me in my spirit of remaining in the opposition cycle. My spirit has been reduced for that. Because my outbreaking does not suggest that even the way in which you address your national leader and your fellow countrymen is very uncivilized. That's not politics. Your profanity is not politics, it's not democracy, nor freedom of expression. It's an element of being uncivilized. So, even something I listen to some talk show, there's a guy in I don't know, they say Tunisia or Morocco. I don't know, say Prophet Key.
He's in Morocco.
Do you listen to him? Is that what you call politics? That's complete hate message. Even right here in Liberia, if you listen to the radio station, most instances, instead of addressing the core issue, you go there to insult. Go on the social media. That's why the other day I was talking about an introduction of anti-public disobedience law. Because if we don't take the necessary measure, what we call here opposition will be converted into a factory of infinity and profanity, and that of complete hatred and envy. The issue you're supposed to be discussing in Liberia, why are you leaving it to go discuss somebody's pair of shoe? Somebody's suit they wear. Is that the issue? That's not the issue. Here in Liberia, I said fundamentally our problem is that Liberia does not have a technical blueprint. And every leader, every succeeding leader in power develop their own individual agenda. And as they phase out, they also phase out with their agenda. So we derail, and we rail and derail. Take for instance, that's why I have proposed, even the former President Sadi, I proposed to her that there is a need to establish a national technical commission to develop a national technical blueprint for this country. Under that technical commission, identify all of the economic indicator areas. Those who got knowledge in agriculture, place them under that technical commission. Those who got knowledge in the economy, put them under that technical commission. The medical doctor, put them under that technical commission. The civil engineer for infrastructure development, put them under that technical commission. And you just need it. And once you put them on, develop a technical blueprint, develop a short term, medium term, and long term. In our health industry, 10, 15 to 20 years to 30 years from now, what do we hope to see in the health sector? And when that is done, you invite other countries with success stories and come and fine-tune that national agenda that has been developed. And what you need to do, put in or embed a clause, a binding clause that any succeeding leadership is compared to work within the confine of that national agenda.
They should accept the proposal.
She said it was a good thing, but she didn't give credence to it. Maybe it came from somebody that she didn't like to bring the idea. Okay? And I said, how do you sustain that? You sustain that by establishing a national sovereign fund. Commodity coming out in the country and going out of the country, certain percentage, it goes to the sovereign fund. It's only intended for our infrastructure development. Whether there's war in the country, it's untouchable. So until we can graduate from that, people will continue to bring fragmented vision. Like for instance, like how President Weah is there now, talking about the pro-poor, agenda. Can we carve that and have a national validation? And there's and call other countries to success story to come with law and some good things and carry to the national legislature and pass it into law. It becomes a national agenda. Because of the amateur declaration of our independence, that's why we have never had a national technical blueprint. So we continue to fragment it. Since the day of William Aratoba, let's start from William Aratoba, where he said total involvement for higher, self-reliance from mat to mattress. Since April 12, 1980, where Toba is now is there where you have the mat to mattress, there where you have the self-reliance, there where you have the total involvement for higher height.
He introduced
since September 9, 1990, where the Doe met his brutal demise, where he is now is where Green Revolution is. When Taylor came here, he said Vision 2024 from 1997, to 2024 or 27 years. Was he talking about? Or was he talking about the repetition of the 27 years or William V. Thomas, spending? How did they understand that vision? But from the time Taylor went to jail, Vision 2024 is resting there with him. And President Sadi came. He said poverty reduction strategy, agenda for transformation, Vision 2030. Since last year, January, when President Weah took over, where President Sadi is resting, to fish market, there where you have the poverty reduction strategy, there where you have the agenda for transformation, there where you have the Vision 2030. And as soon as President Weah, faces out, the pro-poor agenda will also be equally facing out with President Weah. Why will we continue to keep oscillating without a balance?
And so that is not making us stronger.
That is not making us stronger.
The theme that
so if President Weah is going to rule the country now, another president that will come after President Weah is going to derail it and begin to re-rule. You see how we've been going up and down. We keep oscillating without a balance. We need a national technical blueprint.
Okay, now let's talk about finally the last group of individuals. The national orator spoke about the ruling establishment. He, according to all in your own words, they come with that sense of entitlement. That our sink, it's ours. That's our time, and they have no room for criticism at all. Number.
Well, they claim that it is our time. It's a reality. You were president yesterday. It was not my time. Today I'm president. It's my time. Me and my people. You and your people were there yesterday. So I don't see anything wrong with that.
That's what just preclude the others from joining, apparently.
Well, it is my shift. Huh? You have your shift from 3 to 11. If I want to bring you on, I can. Right? Now, in previous, should we bring on, of course, this will lead you to discussing opposition. The other people you're talking about, bringing people from the no position, from the opposition into government. Well, people say for national peace and harmony and all kinds of things, bring them on board. Now, unless I don't have competent people, I don't need your support. The job you're doing here, if I were Director General ERBC, I got somebody who can do it, why do I need support? But if someone leaves and comes back, then it means I don't have somebody to do it. So, the same thing I was talking, I'm running my campaign to be president of Liberia. You were nowhere. The first thing you condemn me, oh, what I man, no, man, why you want to be president? They want that one. Now, the Joe Blow then, who like me don't know anything,
They join me.
they join me. And we defeated you and your know-it-all. They say, oh, you bring your people, the people who are qualified, bring them on board. It's not, I don't think it's fair. Leave it with me. Let me carry my load. If it's heavy, I'll call you. If it's not heavy, I'll throw it down.
They also don't have room for criticisms. In fact, that you said in your words, often appointments based on maybe partisanship and that qualification. Of
There's no room for criticism thing. It's just inherent in us. Even the no position people, you don't criticize them and go free.
They don't have room.
The
for criticism.
the opposition itself, you don't criticize them and go free. All right. It's mostly because, like Honorable Timber said, we don't discuss issues in criticizing. By the time he and I disagree, the next thing he will be hearing from me now, the personal issues about him, whether it's true or not, I throw it at him. If I don't go that route, I'll be insulting. Some people take insults to be criticism. I went to America last month and addressed 7 different groupings, Liberians, in 7 different states. No, all of you, whether you're nothing, man. I only you get Koluba in that place. I only man.
Look at that.
I have to insult the president of my country to prove to you that I mean something. So I told them some of us
Are you
will
listening with him? That is what Yeke does.
Well, I don't know of any other issue that you can link him to besides insulting the president. I mean, that's the reality. I don't have to do that. It's not my upbringing. So what I can. That's why the people who know the book, they make several words to describe one situation or one person. I don't have to use any F letter on you in order to express myself.
Surely.
There are words I can use interchangeably. I can insult you without knowing I'm insulting you. Okay? But to go on the microphone and insult even a fellow representative before talking about the president of my country. If I insult the president of my country, who do I expect to respect him? So today it's me, president, you're insulting me. Tomorrow you're there. Then what?
So you do support the practice of ruling establishment or ruling position, with that sense of ownership, taking everything And that,
If the people were loyal to you in the rain, why you want to be disloyal to them in the sun?
okay.
Together we go up, together we come down. If you did not believe in my ability to get there, Sobo stood with me. Sometimes you see his own money, he abandoned his family, they didn't eat for days. Now I got what all of us were fighting for, then he's not qualified.
Oh, he's not competent.
He's not competent.
Okay, Representative Timba, let's hear from you on the issue of the ruling establishment and coming with that sense of that perception that it is our time and that opening up to criticisms and coming with that sense of entitlement, you know.
Well, I don't agree with that in totality.
Okay.
I partly agree with that, but I don't agree in totality. So firstly, when you come into the public life, I don't want to believe that it is only your partisan that vote for you. There are some people, they don't even vote on
Another
partisan.
guy is saying,
When Otima was in the house, all the staff in his office were people who helped him to become representative. He didn't just go on Broad Street to say who got master degree, this one and that one.
No. In my office, all the people that were there,
Those from your district.
no, they didn't come from a district. And some of even if some of them came from a district, they were not in my campaign. Even one of my office staff came from Sano County, the late Robert Brown.
Like right now,
And,
my executive secretary from Nimba.
No, there's no competition between you and I. My one of my office staff, Emmanuel Brown. You know why I brought him in the office?
no.
The guy was a good technician. He had speed. And during my days at Lands and Mines, he also worked with me as my special assistant.
Okay.
So I knew his skill, and I knew he could bring some added advantage, to my office. Okay, and my political officer that was with me in the office, he was not in my campaign, even though he came from my district, but he was not in my campaign. He didn't support me, when I was there. So I think we need to a little bit graduate from this, that the winner takes all. No, you are being elected as a leader of a country. Majority of the people, the super majority of the people that you elect in the government can come from the party. But just to include other citizens, you can do that. That's an extension of other branch that also engender, integration in the country. We need to do that.
Okay.
And the issue of this is our time. So who time is not? It is Liberian people time. And at a certain time, somebody use it is our time to enjoy. But we enjoy in such a way that will allow other people to enjoy too. What were you talking about? There are negative and positive interpretation of that.
But Nangwa said there's nothing wrong with that because you have a group of people who join the campaign, who join the process to bring it to power.
I'm sure Honorable has problem with somebody being disloyal. Right? We're talking about loyalty here. We're talking about support. If you draw anybody from just anywhere, how do you measure their loyalty to you?
No. The issue is that when you are
okay, I know I was not taking calls, but let me just take this call. They call her quickly. The caller wants to participate. Hello, caller. Your name? Where are you calling from? Quickly.
This is Thomas Israel, the Director General of National Public Health.
I'm okay, Chief. Go ahead.
Thank you. Let me express thanks and appreciation to Honorable Temwe, my own very big brother and friend, Honorable Slow, for the brilliant expose and why they try to articulate on this subject. One reaction I have for what Honorable Temwe was saying about proposing, you call it, I don't know, technical commission, National Technical Commission, to bring technocrats into want areas to provide support. I think the reason we have ministries and agencies are supposed to be the implementing arm of government program and activities. If you find out the reason why you have Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, actually the development planning aspect of it is to look at the development objectives, strategies of the country and move them on. Let me give you an example for one of the sectors that and I know the scene is with Ministry of Agriculture, we have the Deputy Minister for Technical Affairs, the Assistant Minister for Technical Affairs. So what we need to do is to put the technocrats and people who know what in the position to drive government agenda and develop services.
Okay.
Another thing, someone that you were talking about influence, and I think is an idea that is basically influence. The reason I say that when the new government comes, what they should look at is the development plan that was already on the ground. Maybe what we need to do is to tweak it to a way that if the past leadership was not implementing projects faster, we can move and implement it faster. It's why it's really solvable. Let me bring you to the agenda for transformation, steps towards Nigeria rising 2030. That one President Telly developed in this country. And if you check in her letter in our plan, he said, agenda for prosperity for our country, that we need to deliver expectations and aspirations of our people, express our one consecutive meetings that took place, and the agenda focusing on jobs, infrastructure, general energy, and food equality and land power. One way, a new government coming in, the same thing we get from the opportunity, the thinking agenda for development, infrastructure. We get quality of life, we get energy, connectivity. It's the same thing. What you just need to do is put the right people there, bring in technocrats, follow plans, and deliver them. When you move it from there, you black people that this is what ex-government is. This is what the new government coming in has done by moving and celebrating them.
Okay.
One thing that is important to some of people is that they are this is one of the brother Namis Law was saying that you are going to represent them in the city or one thing or one thing or something like that. If you are helping, you are in the corner, nobody cares for you. When a government and bring in your government, there are other ways that you can certify people that help. Not the government you only now is not a party government, but it's a government for the 4.5 million people to deliver infrastructure services, health, agriculture, financing, the economy, and all of that. So if the government was in the corner and they voted for you, and that the people used to deliver in the government of farm to you, the reason is they are only going to certify the people that help. One example, one government who was in college, that helping to win an election, giving me a scholarship to complete a contract, saving for the master's degree, training him to come and work as a central brand. You get 5, you get 6 years to be, and then 6 years you move with like 1 year. When the third after you go to 2 years, come you can't buy. That's some place to do what to be able to service this for you.
Okay.
Myself an example. When I was at my little program, we had a CSP about degree. They sent me abroad to do my master's in public health. When I came back, before they appointed me as a system minister, I had 3 degrees before getting a position as a system minister. So we should train our system plan, use them to be able to tell the people that they come back to the system.
Thank you, Mr. Director General. Yes.
Okay. As I was saying before, I come to answer that, as I was rightly saying, I'm not saying that your partisan should not be accommodated. Just as the caller just mentioned, it's a national government. You are the head. The close to 5 million people you have here, they are your citizens. So if you don't provide the opportunities for them, who's going to do it? Are you telling me that because the Unity Party took huge portion of the vote, Liberty Party took huge portion of the vote, and other parties took huge portion of the vote, and all of those people are the citizens. Are you saying, oh, because they didn't vote, so they shouldn't have the opportunity? They are citizens of this country. They should equally be given an opportunity. But the first and foremost thing, you also need to secure and protect your leadership. Once you are appointed, you are at the will and pleasure of the president. If the president appoints you and you're from an opposition, or institution, and you want to sit there and undermine the government, that president can still fire you, because if you are not in the interest of the government, because you are appointed to to function at the will and pleasure of the president. Now to the quarter. What I was telling you is that just exactly what you did. The technocrats, you say they are to oral agency and think they are the technocrats of the government. Before a technocrat goes to work, they have what they call policy. There's a policy that they work with. There's an agenda that they work with. But you can expand the agenda based on prevailing circumstances. That's why I say in that technical committee room, from time to time, based on prevailing circumstances, prevailing current reality, you can do an amendment on that national agenda. But if you just go arbitrarily, you just go and start. What is the foundation that person is? You just mentioned about President Salih's agenda for transformation. If that had been put into place, they would be there. Don't think that because President Salih maybe carved that particular agenda yesterday is cast in stone. There can be some amendment based on current and unfolding realities.
Okay, finally, before we go, gentlemen, I'm sure in the latter part of Madam Bowie's oration, she did indicate that in order for a country of ours to be stronger, together we must begin to uphold the values of transparency, the value of truth, the value of love for country, equality. We must, in order to be stronger as a country. To move forward on that, Namwe, let me just get your party comment on that. Even the value of transparency, like I said as well. How do we ensure that the three positions, the opposition, the no position, the ruling position, how do we ensure that we all uphold to those values and move our country forward to get more stronger and stronger?
Well, I agree. To move the country forward, we have to prioritize transparency. The love of country, is something you cannot legislate. The person doesn't. It has nothing to do with education, with social status, nothing. Some people are just who they are. You can't tell them you have to love your country. No. They will always do what they want to do.
The issue of equality.
Equality, yes, we have to. There is the same issue he just discussed, Mutimba just discussed. Equality is a difficult card to play. Equality, okay, I'm in power, but the other people too should be given equal chance. Well, that's why we're fighting. I grab the ball in my hand, I run away, you say I'm gonna share with you. I don't. It has to be. I'm not saying a given president should not do it. But like in her speech, she said, why you got only 2 women in the cabinet? You mean that only 2 qualified women in the whole country? There is something this president is promoting. It's on his way to the Capitol building. It will soon come for women to be given 15 seats. It's been around for a while, but finally he's selling it now.
They're selling it true now.
Okay. I was of the opinion, several times I came here on this stage and said, they are human beings. They go to the same schools that we go to, the same classrooms, the same everything. Let them compete. There are other women who are in the Senate now and the House who were not given these seats. They fought for them, they beat men to get there. So why not the other people? But
and the value for truth to power, truth telling to power. Should be reference to that. How do we hold that value as well? Telling the power, the truth of that. This is wrong and this is right.
Well, it's in practice now. That's why she stood in front of a certain president to tell what she thought was the truth. And there are people on the radio stations and Facebook and everywhere else telling the truth, what they consider to be the truth, to power. Honorable Salih's time, President Salih. Oh yeah, she heard what some people thought was the truth. You know, only Doe, Taylor, I didn't hear people telling truth to power. But since then, we have graduated and we're making progress.
Okay. Representative Timber?
Yes.
How do we uphold the values to make our country more stronger? The values of transparency, equality, lawful country, and the issue of truth-telling to power.
You know, firstly, one of the things I like about the Ghanaians, even if early in the morning they haven't brushed their mouth, they still licking. And that patriotic and nationalistic spirit that they have developed for themselves and for their country is what we need in this country. You need a selfless, patriotic and nationalistic leadership in this country. And usually, in any country that is prepared to develop, they usually listen to their leader. They want to follow their leader's example. Once the leader begins to set some example, like for instance, what's happening in Rwanda? Rwanda in the early 90s was a genocide country. Why are they moving so fast like that? That political will was developed to move the country forward. That's why they are moving faster like that. That's why you need in this country.
Okay.
And globally, people support you when it comes to transparency and accountability. And that's one of the reasons why we have some of the anti-graft institutions around to erect these checkpoints. Why you think we brought in PPCC? Why you think we brought in LACC? It's because we want to ensure transparency and accountability that will make other countries to develop, confidence in us. But if we don't institute accountability, transparency, and accountability, you see that people will begin to lose interest. They will flip up with you. But once you have, because the reason of the governance of the country is to create the enabling environment in that particular country for your citizens to develop.
Okay.
And if the citizens themselves are not seeing that in you, transparency, accountability, raising their hope, then you see all of these noise in the country will start coming, because that's why I say everybody needs to be accommodated. If the other people feel marginalized, you see noise in this country. And when people are hungry, they are angry. And sometimes their level of reasoning becomes eroded.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, former representative Martin Timber. Thank you very much for taking time off today, sir.